up front. And this Bronco, it pretty much has everything cool you can do. They swapped the motor with a 460 big block, and they got 2-inch Skyjacker lifts to fit these meaty off-road tires, and of course the sweet chromatic like stripes, which back in the day was an option, $487. Yeah, I think it's worth it. And it's really, really big outside, but I want you to take a peek inside as well. It's got retro sound and just these fantastic high back captain seats that were a $396 option with the cloth inserts. You got the movable armrests. I mean, Rick, I know you're pretty comfortable up where you're at, but I think you should request some 1979 Bronco seats to do the auction from.
Oh, yeah,
really
absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
I'm going to stay here the whole time. Yeah, I like this.
I think they should install those up on the block. I can see Mike in that right now. Thanks a lot. 1965 Mercedes-Benz 220 SEB.
Well, this was the Businessman's Express. These hand-built cars, very powerful, and they just ate up the miles on the Autobahn. This one's had a complete professional restoration using the original manufacturer paint from Glasurit and the original source of leather for the seat covers. Great restoration here.
Yes, and this was the Mercedes generation that really established itself in America as an alternative to, say, Cadillac or Lincoln. You saw more and more of these on the road, the W11 and the W8 for the sedan. This one, the inline 6, it's the smaller inline 6, which may be why it won't see the bigger numbers you see with, say, a 280 SE. But still, beautiful body style, sunroof coupe, and you see the restoration. The interior, they did a great job as well with the leather and the wood, which the entire dash is complete, a big piece of wood.
Yeah, the sunroof is a very rare option on these. Lots of burled wood there. This also has power steering and power brakes. This is one of the cars that Detroit used as a benchmark when designing cars like the old Toronado and the Cadillac Eldorado that would follow in just a couple of years. A 2+2 personal luxury car, or Businessman's Express.
They are pretty mechanically invincible, very simple fuel injection system. The only thing that can get these cars is rust. It's a big killer when it comes to values and to restorations. This one's listed as starting with a rust-free body that was treated before it was repainted. So the only thing to really watch out for these, this one, you don't have to worry about. It does look really nice.
Well, and the SEB, for what it's worth, was at least the top of the line in this, had that Bosch fuel injection. So while it was the Businessman's Express, you got a whopping 120 horsepower out of it.
Complete frame-off restoration. Jack, spare tire tools, a mat for the trunk, and as said, not a speck of rust anywhere. Nicely done.
You know, this body style came out, I think, in 1961-ish or so. Before they had the pontoons, before the pontoon fenders in the late 50s. Really loved the sleeker lines of this era for the Mercedes.
Major league bargain right here. At $30,000, I would guess that this restoration could have cost triple the amount bid. But, you know, the people that own this car have enjoyed it, and it's ready for its new home. Automatic transmission too, whereas a lot of these were 4-speed manual transmission cars.
Well, this one just sold for $32,000, and the Summit Racing sold sticker goes on, and away it goes for $32K. I love the fact they put those stickers on, so when you're walking around, you can see exactly what all the cars sold for. Well, we call this Super Saturday for a very good reason. The cars are spectacular. How good? Well, we sent our team out to find the cars we think are going to be special when they cross the block.
Super Saturday is always where we see the best of the best selling at Barrett-Jackson, and it's no different here in New Orleans. We're checking out some of our favorites, and here's mine, a 2020 Lamborghini Huracan Evo. This is the fastest version of an already fast car, 630 horsepower V10 and a beautiful spec. Verde mantis green and loads of forged carbon fiber. What do you have, Mike?
Tyler, I may finally have found my dream Corvette. This is an absolutely stock-bodied 58 with the one-year styling touches like the washboard hood and the tux. Black over beautifully stitched red leather, but it's what lies beneath that's really special. It's an Art Morrison chassis, C7 independent front and rear suspension, an LS3 small block with individual fuel injection trumpets. Wow. Wouldn't you like to have a 65-year-old body with all new mechanicals? I know I would. And this fits the bill. Now here's Rick. He wants to go fast.
Well, that's right, Mike. I may have found the perfect automotive thrill ride. It's lot 725, a 2005 Ford GT, but this one's special. It's a Hennessey 1000 edition. It's got twin turbochargers that have been mounted to this engine that'll pump out 1,000 horsepower. It'll slam you into the seat as you're rolling down the highway. April?
Thanks, Rick. Talk about variety. Check this out. 1954 Chevy Custom Pickup. It's got the original factory 5-window body, stunning gray metallic finish. I mean, every detail is pristine. And the heart, an LS2 all dressed up to look like a vintage small block. This is truly art, and it proves there's something for everyone here on Super Saturday.
Automotive eye candy everywhere you look here at Barrett Jackson, New Orleans. No short of graded cars like this Bentley Continental GTC Speed that just hammered sold at $52,000. That's a 2014 edition. Classic American muscle, 1970 Chevelle Custom.
Well, 1970 was the top of the mountain for performance in Detroit in the first muscle car era. I dare say we're in the middle of one right now. But you could get the big blocks, the big motors, and here we've taken a regular Chevelle two-door hardtop, treated it to a big block engine with headers, an Edelbrock manifold, a big 4-barrel carburetor, giving it a lot more horsepower than it was born with. This is an LS6 with a 4-speed manual transmission.
Yeah, the LS6 was the top dog. They made like 60,000 Chevelles in 70, but a small percentage of them were the LS6. So this is a great tribute to that. They would have had 450 horsepower, probably underrated when they left the factory. And it was about the third fastest when I looked it up of the muscle car era, behind a few Mopars. So serious performance. It makes sense somebody would take a normal Chevelle and make it into one of these since they made so many.
I like the Astro Blue exterior with the black stripes to match the interior. 1970 saw Chevys with seats with separate headrests. They would be integrated on most model lines 1 year later. One way you can easily tell this is not a real SS is have a look at the instrument panel. This one has the horizontal speedometer that all regular Chevelles got. If you had a Super Sport, you got round gauge binnacles in that dash. But no harm, no foul. It's not trying to be something it's not, but great performance out of this.
Another thing they didn't add was the cowl induction you would see on the LS6 most commonly. It has a traditional hood rather than the vacuum flap that would open up when you hit the throttle to give it a little extra power. It's a normal air cleaner, and no bump in the hood with that flap coming up.
And since Dr. Date Coach Steve Mugnante isn't here, I'll make the point that this is a 136 VIN code, which means it did start life as a V8 engine. It's just had a big upgrade since then.
Yeah, nice paint, nice, good presentation. Brand new BF Goodrich radials on those rally wheels with trim rings. Nicely done.
Yeah, and it looks the part. I mean, nobody's going to know that you don't have an SS when you come driving up. When you're at the local car show, you know, this isn't something you're showing at a concours event. But if you're at a local car show, people are going to think you've got an awesome car, because it is, for $53,000 with that LS6 454 engine. Goes away up to the skybox. Next up, a 1970 Mustang Mach 1. This is a 428 Cobra Jet.
Wow, great performance car here. This was a 2-year styling cycle for Ford, 1969 and 1970. Prior to 69, every Mustang had had just 2 headlights. In 69, they gave it a 4-headlight front and then reverted back to the 2 headlights here for 1970. All the big news is under the hood. That's where all the Super Cobra Jet performance options lie.
1970 was the only year where you could get a Mach 1 or a Shelby. This Shelby was done in 1970, that relationship, and the Mach 1 became the big performance car for Mustang into the 1970s. And then you have the Cobra Jet, of course, with this one.
Now we're getting into serious money here, and one reason may well be what's on the car card on the windshield, and that is the mileage, less than 24,000 actual miles. Lots of provenance with this. Kelsey Hayes Magnum 500 wheels in chrome. The body gaps look good. Usually that front door gap is wider than the rear, and we see that here. Spoilers, slat, the big wing, and the shaker, the 3 S's, spoilers, slats, and shakers. That's what you want to see on a fully done Mach 1.
Yeah, 69 and 70, many think is the prettiest years of the Mach 1. Easy to say that compared to the 71 to 73s. But the Mach 1 name also continued on the Pinto-based Mustang 2, which is just a crime against humanity that a V6-powered Pinto-based car also got the Mach 1 moniker for a little bit. But obviously, this is the beginning of it and the best here.
A year or so ago, Ford brought back the Mach 1 model of the Mustang. $70,000. We're in. I think we're in good territory now.
Yeah, we're closing in on the #1 sale of the day. So far, that's a 1971 Dodge Charger that sold at $72,500. We're just $500 away. We've got an internet bidder involved. We got somebody up in the skybox, and I can see why. I mean, I'm close to this car, and it looks great. It's got a deluxe Marty report. It's been authenticated. As you mentioned, it's got 23,000 miles on the odometer. What's not to like about this?
One thing that I see that's maybe not quite correct, and that is the rear striping on the Mach 1, I believe was done in black Scotchlite, so that at night it would reflect white, in the daytime it would look black as this presents.
Well, came close. $71,000 makes that the #2 sale of the day so far on Super Saturday. But as we know, the numbers are just going to